Discovered, how a shy librarian changed a millionaire's daughter's tears into heartwarming smiles. In the quaint town of Maplewood, where crisp autumn leaves dance in the gentle wind, Lucy Thompson, a shy librarian, felt the pulse of the world only through the pages of her beloved stories. With every book she shelved, her heart whispered of unseen adventures, yet the echo of her dreams faded into the shadows of her dusty library. Each day was a mirror of the last, her vibrant kindness overshadowed by the busy lives buzzing around her. She faded into the background, like a quiet book waiting for someone to open it. But little did she know, life had plans that would thrust her into an unexpected saga. Everything shifted when Jessica Edwards, the dazzling daughter of an auto mogul, stepped into Maplewood. Her designer heels clicked defiantly against the cobblestone streets, drawing eyes but leaving hearts untouched. Jessica's glamorous exterior masked a soul laden with the pressures of perfection and the weight of her family's legacy. Amid the friendly smiles of locals who valued authenticity over luxury, she felt like an alien. The library, with its hidden corners and comforting silence, became her only refuge, a sanctuary from the spotlight that amplified her loneliness. Fate intertwined their lives when Lucy found Jessica perched on a worn chair in the back of the library, tears pooling in her eyes like raindrops on fragile petals. The sight sent a ripple through Lucy's heart, compelling her to step outside her cocoon. Hesitation gripped Lucy at first, her voice quivered when she finally approached Jessica. But their connection blossomed, and Lucy shared her own story of feeling invisible. With each word, she peeled back layers of Jessica's opulent life to reveal the raw vulnerability hiding beneath. It was a revelation, a friendship forged from shared insecurities, weaving a fabric of empathy and resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue together. They hatched an idea, a community literacy event meant to bridge the divide between the town's wealth and its struggle. But as the plans unfolded, they encountered disapproval from Maplewood's elite, who saw the gathering as beneath their consideration. The rich, who prided themselves on status, scoffed at the charity, leaving Jessica caught between her two worlds. One evening, surrounded by cozy bookshelves and the comforting scent of paper, tensions flared. Lucy called on Jessica to stand firm against the pressures that weighed her down. This isn't about privilege, it's about people, about connection, Lucy urged, her voice steady and fierce. Tears streamed down Jessica's face as the weight of her reality pressed down hard, a battle of self versus social expectations. Would she have the courage to pursue what truly mattered? And within the pulse of the library, surrounded by a burgeoning community ready for change, Lucy felt her long-hidden dreams stir awake. Lucy stood at the edge of a new story, her future tangled with Jessica's, hearts racing at the prospect of transformation. Would they rally their town to see the light that resides in genuine connection, breaking through the darkness of prejudice? Just as hope flickered like a flame, both women found themselves at a new crossroads, the pages of their lives waiting to be turned. The days flowed into one another like a gentle stream, carrying with them both excitement and uncertainty as Lucy and Jessica prepared for the literacy event. They transformed the library into a welcoming haven of colorful banners and mismatched chairs, each corner exuding warmth and hope. The path ahead shimmered with the promise of connection, yet lurking in the background was a dense fog of doubt that wrapped around Jessica's mind. As the date of the event approached, gossip swirled like the autumn leaves outside. Snippets of conversation buzzed through Maplewood's elite circles. "What a ridiculous idea!" snorted Mrs. Harrington over her afternoon tea. "A soiree for charity aimed at those less fortunate? How utterly distasteful." Jessica felt the sting of those words deep in her heart. With every criticism, the pressure to conform to her family's expectations tightened around her like a vice. She found herself sitting alone in her room late at night, staring blankly at the mirror reflecting her well-coiffed hair and polished makeup. Who was she really? Meanwhile, in the library's quiet embrace, Lucy felt the swell of emotion within her. She could sense Jessica's turmoil, and it mirrored her own fears. Standing at the checkout desk, she chose to confront her worries, expressing them aloud. What if we fail? What if they hate us for trying? She admitted, her voice a soft tremor in the stillness. Jessica turned, her expression a mix of determination and vulnerability. But what if we don't? She questioned, her eyes shimmering like the library's warm lights. What if we make them feel seen? Isn't that worth the risk? Her words sparked something within Lucy's heart, urging her to envision the possibility of a brighter tomorrow. On the day of the event, the crisp morning air buzzed with anticipation, as townsfolk began to gather outside the library. Lucy donned a nervous smile, adjusting her glasses, while Jessica stood conversing with attendees. Anxiety fluttered in Lucy's chest, but as she looked around, she saw familiar faces, people she'd watched moving through life unaware of her existence, now smiling back at her. The library filled with laughter, chatter, and a rhythmic hope that pulsed through the crowd like the beating of a drum. Welcome everyone, Jessica declared, stepping onto a makeshift stage, her presence shining like a beacon. Today isn't just about us. It's about everyone here, reminding us that stories matter, and so do we. Lucy's heart swelled as she watched Jessica command the room, their collaboration blossoming in ways she'd never imagined. The two women led activities, igniting conversations about the love for books, and the walls of status that separated their community began to crack. Midway through the gathering, the sound of heels clicking against the wooden floor interrupted their joy. It was Mrs. Harrington, flanked by a few members of the elite, her nose wrinkled in disdain. Jessica's heart sank, her defiance wavered. Would they turn back now, returning to their privileged silence? But Lucy, sensing the pivotal moment, stepped forward. We're here to show that everyone's voice is worth listening to, she stated, her heart pounding yet steady. Books unite us. They teach us empathy. The air thickened with tension, and for a moment, it felt like the world had stopped. Would they embrace this change, or retreat to the shadows of judgment? The next breath held the answer, suspended in uncertainty, hearts beating in sync, as hope flickered like a dimming light waiting to ignite. The silence was heavy as Jessica held her breath, waiting for Mrs. Harrington's response. The room, once vibrant and alive with laughter, seemed to shrink around them. Every pair of eyes shifted towards the elite group, as if anticipating a thunderclap after a loud rumble in the sky. Mrs. Harrington's lips curled into an aristocratic sneer, but nothing came from her mouth. Instead, she surveyed the lively room, taking in the mismatched chairs, the bright banners, and the smiling faces of ordinary people who had chosen to join this unlikely gathering. The tension hung in the air like a held note, poised on the edge of something profound. Jessica felt her heart racing. She knew well how Mrs. Harrington wielded her influence in Maplewood, and the thought of her disapproval sent a chill down her spine. Yet, Lucy's words reverberated in her mind, urging her to respond, to hold on to the spark they'd ignited. When Mrs. Harrington finally opened her mouth, her voice cut through the air like a knife, but it was softer than the crowd expected. I suppose, she began, still visibly annoyed but somehow less hostile, if we are to spare a moment to indulge. It would be wise. Stories, after all, can be entertaining. Her words hung awkwardly, and Jessica took a deep breath. This was their opportunity, however slight. Why thank you, Mrs. Harrington. Stories do have the power to change lives. And they can connect us in ways we hadn't even thought possible. Lucy watched as murmurs rippled through the audience. Each remark began to shift the sentiment, igniting bright sparks of curiosity in the eyes of the townspeople. It was a moment of reckoning, a possibility stretched before them, like the dawn breaking after a long night. As the event continued, Jessica and Lucy encouraged everyone to share their favorite stories and experiences. One by one, faces brightened as tales flowed from individuals eager to be heard. They laughed together, celebrated connection, and founded a sense of community that felt genuine, palpable even. Jessica felt herself unwinding, shedding the burden of expectation like an old coat that no longer fit. In the midst of this, Lucy watched Jessica from the sidelines. The tension in her shoulders eased, and her smile became infectious. She felt hope blossom, not just in herself, but in those around them. Then came unexpected laughter from the back of the room, a joyous raucous sound that pulled their attention. It was Mr. Thompson, the town's gruff caretaker, sharing a story about a book he clumsily borrowed from the library once as a child. His enthusiasm was infectious, bridging the gap between them and the elite that had historically looked down on him. The crowd erupted with laughter, stitching their lives together through shared humanity. Mrs. Harrington shifted uncomfortably, her expression flickering between disdain and reluctant amusement. As the first hour turned to the next, the chatter grew bolder. People started mingling across social divides, each person a piece of a larger tapestry. Yet in the midst of this joyous noise, an undercurrent of apprehension still lingered. Jessica pulled Lucy aside, her voice trembling slightly. What if they don't come back? What if this was just a fleeting moment? Lucy's eyes shone with conviction. It will be what we make of it. We just have to keep showing up. She laid a reassuring hand on Jessica's shoulder. But just as they settled back into the rhythm of celebration, a voice interrupted them from the entrance, forceful and assertive. It was Mrs. Harrington again, and she wasn't done yet. You two have stirred something in our quaint little community. But tell me, what are your plans if this doesn't go the way you hoped? What's next? Jessica felt her breath hitch, surrounded by anticipation. This wasn't just about today anymore, it was about tomorrow too. What were their plans? What was the vision they hadn't even thought to shape yet? As their hesitation hung in the air, the gentle thrum of the library faded into a quiet urgency, and the question loomed larger than before. What kind of stories would they write next? The room pulsed with energy as Jessica and Lucy exchanged glances, uncertainty mingling with resolve. Mrs. Harrington's challenge hung before them like an open book, waiting for them to fill in the pages with their response. Jessica could feel a lump rising in her throat, a mixture of anxiety and excitement. This was bigger than just stories, it was about hope, community, and the power to change. Next, Jessica began, her voice steadier now. Next, we keep this connection going. We create a place where voices aren't just heard, but celebrated. A community where everyone feels they belong. Lucy nodded, her enthusiasm infectious. We could have weekly storytelling nights. Workshops, art displays, a book club where everyone can share their thoughts. As they spoke, the crowd's energy shifted. Murmurs of agreement rose from the audience, faces lighting up with the sparkle of shared dreams. Jessica's heart swelled with purpose. It was true, they didn't just want this moment to fade away. They wanted to nurture a movement. But then Mrs. Harrington stepped forward, eyes narrowed. Those are ambitious plans. And you really think the likes of us will partake in such communal events? There was a challenge in her words, a hint of mockery. Jessica felt the weight of her gaze. Yes. The voice came unexpectedly from behind her. It was Anna, the shy girl who often blended into the background. I would come. I want to tell my story about how fear has held me back. I want to feel free. Jessica's heart skipped. There was a surge of emotion in the room. More voices began to rise in agreement. And I have a recipe to share. Mr. Thompson called out, surprising everyone. You all have to try my secret apple pie. The laughter that erupted was more than just shared humor, it was an acknowledgement of their unity. As waves of idea and excitement spread like ripples in a pond, Jessica felt a renewed hope swell inside her. One by one, people began to declare their stories. They leaned forward, their faces lit with intent. Mrs. Harrington shifted, taken aback by this tidal wave of enthusiasm, her expressions fluctuating from disdain to something resembling curiosity. It seemed as if a softening was beginning, but Jessica knew better than to take it for granted. "All right," she allowed, her tone reluctant. "If it is to be a community affair." Lucy clasped Jessica's hand tightly, both of them realizing this could be the turning point they had longed for. "Together, we can build this a celebration of life here in Maplewood," Lucy exclaimed, her voice ringing out with infectious energy. The crowd cheered, and for a moment, it felt as if the very walls of the library were wrapping them in warmth. They were not just individuals anymore; together, they were a collective that dared to dream bigger than what Maplewood had ever seen. But as joyous laughter filled the air, Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Mrs. Harrington stood there, arms crossed, a contemplative look in her eye. Slowly, her expression hardened once more, leaving doubt mingling with Jessica's excitement. "Do you really think you can change them?" Mrs. Harrington's words cut through the noise, laced with skepticism. "Sometimes, stories are just tales, they don't shift the scars of reality." A hush fell over the crowd, and Jessica's heart raced once again. Mrs. Harrington's doubt seemed to linger in the air like a thick fog, clouding what should have been a moment of triumph. Could they really weave the fabric of change in the face of such doubt? Just then, Jessica caught sight of someone hiding in the back, an old friend she had not seen in years. Their eyes locked, and she could feel the weight of the moment shift. It was like an emblem of hope sparking a new chapter. And suddenly, it wasn't just about the stories they would tell, but the lives they would touch and the walls they might break down, one new voice at a time. As Jessica's heart raced, anticipation swirling, she took a deep breath. What would unfold next in this unexpected journey? Was she ready to tackle the challenge of not just Mrs. Harrington, but of everyone wondering if stories could indeed change lives? Would they all have the courage to step forward together? Jessica's heart skipped as she recognized the familiar face at the back of the room. It was Sophie, her childhood best friend, the one who had always understood her dreams and fears. Sophie's presence was like a soft whisper of reassurance in the chaotic sea of doubt that was Mrs. Harrington's skepticism. With newfound courage, Jessica motioned for Sophie to come forward. The room might have been filled with uncertainty, but at that moment, she felt an undeniable spark of belief igniting within her. Sophie hesitated for a second, but then her expression shifted. She took a deep breath and stepped into the light of the library, where whispers transformed into gasps of surprise. "Sophie," Jessica said, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's been so long. I didn't know you'd be here." "I almost didn't come," Sophie replied, her eyes shimmering as she spoke. "But when I heard about this gathering, I felt compelled to show up." The warmth in her voice brought tears to Jessica's eyes, but she held them back. They had both faced struggles over the years, but somehow, seeing her friend made everything feel lighter. "Might I remind you of your first story together?" Lucy chimed in, excitement bubbling in her voice. "You two used to write tales of adventure in our neighborhood treehouse. You had no fear then." The audience leaned in, intrigued. Memories swirled in Jessica's mind, filled with the laughter of carefree afternoons and dreams crafted from imagination. Sophie smiled, her cheeks glowing with a hint of nostalgia. "Those stories were our way to escape, weren't they? But more than that, it was about creating something together, sharing the magic even when the world felt heavy." The weight of their past hung between them, mixing with the thrill of their present. Jessica nodded, the realization striking her like lightning. "That's it. We can create a space where everyone can share their magic, where stories become bridges to understanding." Mrs. Harrington's frown deepened, yet a flicker of curiosity gleamed in her eyes. "You truly believe this can make a difference?" "Yes." The chorus erupted from the crowd. "We believe." Jessica felt the electric energy sizzling in the air around them. Merely talking was not enough anymore, this was about action. Determined, she took a step forward. Let us establish regular meetups. We can start small, just one night a week. Allowing everyone to have their place at our table, each voice adding to the community's heartbeat. The audience buzzed, a wave of approval washing over them. Laughter, whispered ideas, and a sense of belonging reverberated through the library. But in the back of her mind, doubts lingered. Was it really enough? Would it be sustainable? Anna raised her hand again, a spark igniting her cheeks. I want to organize the first storytelling night. Her timidity had vanished, replaced by determination. We can share stories from our pasts and learn from each other. Sophie grabbed Jessica's arm. Have you realized how powerful this is? We are creating ripples of hope right now. The warmth of acceptance enveloped them, but Jessica caught another glance at Mrs. Harrington, whose expression was unreadable now. What was she thinking? Could she be swayed? Just promise me you won't be crushed by harsh words, Mrs. Harrington said, her tone softening fractionally, a hint of concession peeking through her stern demeanor. With a newfound strength bubbling within, Jessica looked into Mrs. Harrington's eyes, her voice steady. We won't let it hold us back. We'll face every challenge together. The energy shifted again, sparking hope and courage. There was a charge in the room that Jessica couldn't ignore. It felt like destiny calling. The stories they would share could weave them into something stronger together. But as the night grew darker outside, a flicker of doubt crept back in. Was she truly ready to lead in the face of potential rejection? What if Mrs. Harrington wasn't the only one resistant to change? The thrill of new beginnings clashed against the fear of the unknown. Jessica took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of excitement and trepidation. All signs pointed to the start of something extraordinary, but the path ahead still loomed uncertain. Would they rise together, or would the weight of reality pull them back under? Only time would reveal what awaited them all. The library fell into a hushed silence, the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. Jessica felt her heart race as she glanced at Sophie, who wore an encouraging smile. They had taken a leap together, recommitting to childhood dreams, but now those dreams were real, teetering on the edge of possibility. Okay, let us do it. Jessica declared, her voice cutting through the tension. The room brightened again, infused with hope as familiar faces turned toward her. She could see Anna practically vibrating with excitement, ready to take charge. It was infectious. But just as their resolution began to take shape, Mrs. Harrington cleared her throat. If you believe in this so strongly, then I suppose I have no reason to hold you back. Her voice, while still stern, hinted at a subtle shift, a reluctant willingness to see where this could lead. But do remember, not everyone will be supportive. Expect challenges. Jessica nodded, her mind racing. Challenges are part of growth. We'll face them together. She felt the urge to whisper to Sophie. It's almost like we're back in the treehouse again, she murmured with a half-smile, nostalgia washing over her. Exactly, Sophie responded, squeezing Jessica's arm. The power of stories will bring us all closer. It's what we have always believed. They began planning, their voices rising and overlapping as excitement stirred the crowd. Each person's idea added a new layer to their vision: poetry nights, themed storytelling, mentorship roles for youth. The possibilities seemed endless. Just as the evening light danced through the library windows, they formed smaller groups to brainstorm details. Laughter and chatter filled the space, creating a buzz of camaraderie. Ideas sparked like fireworks against the darkening sky. But as the group discussions progressed, Jessica's mind wandered back to Mrs. Harrington. What if her kindness was a mask? What if she was simply biding her time to stifle their dreams later? A wave of doubt swept in again, a familiar feeling she thought she left behind when she saw Sophie. Hey, Sophie said softly, snapping Jessica back to the present with a concerned look. What's wrong? Do you think, do you think it's really enough? Jessica replied, searching Sophie's eyes for reassurance. Are we fooling ourselves by thinking we can make this work? Jessica, Sophie said with a fierce determination. We were born storytellers. This isn't just about you or me, it's about the community we can build. That's real and that's powerful. Still hesitant, Jessica took a deep breath. The meeting went on, yet a nagging fear gnawed at her insides. Watching everyone so immersed in their vibrant discussions, she couldn't shake the feeling that it was all too much. Too unrealistic. Suddenly, someone burst through the doors. A tall figure with dark hair, their face shadowed by the light from behind. All heads turned. There stood Ben, the very epitome of someone who'd always seemed untouchable. He had been part of the same circles as Jessica and Sophie in high school, the rich kid with a cool smile and effortless charm. But here he was, unannounced. Sorry to interrupt, Ben said, scanning the room with genuine interest. I overheard about a storytelling night. Gasps echoed throughout the space. The air crackled with a mix of suspense and excitement. What could his presence mean? Was this a moment of support, or would he dismiss them like Mrs. Harrington had nearly done? Feeling the collective tension, Jessica faced him, determination urging her on. Yes. We're planning to host weekly storytelling events to bring people together. It's about sharing our voices. He stepped forward, curiosity lighting his gaze. Can I be a part of this? I have stories to share. Everyone around them leaned in, captivated. Jessica's heart raced again, not only from fear but from unexpected excitement. Was this the additional support they really needed? But would he genuinely want to help, or was he just drawn to the noise like a moth to a flame? Jessica's heart thudded as she considered the possibilities unfolding before her. This was the turning point. Would it lead to a cultural shift in their town, or would it unravel in the face of fear? The answers lingered out there, waiting for her to take the next step. The room buzzed with energy as the implications of Ben's words hung in the air. Jessica tried to gauge everyone's reaction, but the faces around her blurred into a whirlwind of emotions: curiosity, hope, and a touch of skepticism. She swallowed hard, wishing for a sign. Wait, Anna piped up, breaking the moment. What kind of stories do you have, Ben? Her tone was critical, but Jessica appreciated the inquiry. It was fair to question his sudden interest. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Ben's face, but he quickly regained his composure. Well, I traveled a lot after college. I've met a ton of interesting people and visited places that would blow your mind. I thought sharing some of those experiences could bring a unique perspective. The murmurs grew louder. He had a point. Everyone loved a good adventure story, but it still felt risky. Sophie exchanged a glance with Jessica, and she could see her excitement. This could work. Imagine drawing people in with tales from anywhere in the world. We could highlight local experiences too, inspiring others to share their stories. The gears in her mind visibly turned, her spirit igniting as possibilities unfolded before them. Jessica nodded, feeling the spark from Sophie's enthusiasm fusing with her own doubts. Maybe we should give it a shot. But we need to remain true to our community's voice. It must reflect us all, not just untouchable experiences. Ben raised an eyebrow, intrigued. I can respect that. I won't pretend to know exactly what everyone wants to hear. But I can help create the space for those voices, and I can bring a few people to kick it off. High school friends, those who've gone on to do cool things. The air glimmered with a new kind of excitement at his suggestion. People began to murmur and giggle at the prospect of reunion stories exchanged with laughter. Ben was a bridge, he could connect them to those who had wandered far. Just like that, the tension from earlier began to dissolve. Jessica felt her worries ease way for anticipation. Okay, let's plan something, she declared. But, Ben, you can't just show up and take the spotlight. We need everyone to feel like they belong. We have to make sure everyone's voice is valued. Absolutely, he agreed, a glimmer of respect for her emerging clarity evident in his eyes. I'm just here to help. And just like that, the meeting transformed into a workshop of ideas, with voices igniting every corner of the library. From setting dates and deadlines to gathering volunteers, it felt as if the room was alive. But amid the chatter and laughter, Jessica felt a familiar prick of doubt. Would this be a way to truly empower their community, or would the shadow of favoritism return? As they divided into smaller groups to tackle logistics, Jessica pulled Sophie aside. What if Ben has an agenda? She whispered, the uncertainty back in her voice. What if he thinks he can just waltz in and take control? Sophie tilted her head, considering her words. Then it's up to us to set those boundaries. We have to stand firm in our vision. Remember, this isn't about him, it's about the stories we want to tell. Jessica nodded, feeling a surge of hope mixed with apprehension. They had something unique here, but they needed to protect it. As she watched everyone work together, an unexpected warmth bubbled within her. They were building something greater than themselves together. The laughter echoed around her, brightening the corners of her once doubtful heart. Then, as the planning continued into the night, a text from Ben lit up her phone. I want us to make this happen. Do you trust me? Her heart raced in her chest. Did she? The library felt full of promise, but she knew that trust, once broken, was hard to repair. It was only a matter of time before that answer would reveal itself and the true nature of their plans. Would they unearth new beginnings or stumble into an old nightmare? The air thickened with possibilities just waiting to be explored. Jessica stared at her phone, the glow of the screen illuminating her uncertainty. Did she trust Ben? The question mulled in her mind as she watched the buzz around her. Laughter erupted as someone shared a funny high school memory, and although she felt a warm swell of hope for what they were building, tiny doubts twisted within her. Hey, Sophie's voice cut through her thoughts. What's on your mind? You look like you just bit into a lemon. Jessica forced a smile, but it felt shaky at best. Just thinking about Ben. I mean, who is he really? What if he takes control in a way we can't handle? I can't help but think about all the times we've tried something new and had it slip away. Sophie nodded, her gaze serious. Maybe it's time for us to take that leap. If we believe in the vision, we'll find a way to keep it authentic. Their conversation was interrupted as Ben, now more animated, approached. I've set up a kickoff event next week. He announced, infectious energy radiating from him. Let us meet at the community center, celebrate these opportunities. We can share stories, have music. It'll be fantastic. Jessica's heart sank and lifted at once. That's fast. Are you in, Jessica? Ben asked straightforwardly, his eyes searching hers. Yeah, sure. Just let us make sure everyone participates, she replied, trying hard to keep her voice steady. And that it's not just a show. Of course. Ben smiled wide. I want to run this with all of you, like a family reunion that everyone in town can enjoy. That sounded good, a little too good. But she felt her resolve hardening. They would be a family. They had to be. As the preparations unfolded, the group rallied. The library was blanketed with laughter, brainstorming sessions, and the clattering of chairs. There was a spirit of unity pulsing through them as they pinned down details. Yet, the gnawing concern didn't fade completely from her thoughts. Would they truly make their voices heard? As the night deepened, Jessica stole a glance at Ben, who was animatedly discussing logistics with a few other volunteers. Even from a distance, he looked charismatic, exuding a confidence that made her both intrigued and apprehensive. Did anyone else sense the fine line he was balancing on? After the meeting wrapped up, Jessica lingered to help pack up chairs. Sophie joined her, and as they worked, she sensed a flicker of tension still swirling in the air. You know, he might surprise you, Sophie said, setting down a folding chair with a small grin. This could change everything. Jessica hesitated. I wanted to, but what if it changes things for the worse? Sophie leaned in, a serious look on her face. We can't let fear hold us back. Let us not repeat the past, Jess. Let us rewrite our story. The sincerity in her friend's eyes stirred something inside Jessica. Maybe this was their moment to shed doubt and embrace change. She couldn't let fear dictate their direction. The next morning, Jessica woke with determination. She texted Ben, let us solidify our vision for the event. Can we meet this afternoon? His response came through quickly. Absolutely. Can't wait to chat. As she prepared for their meeting, Jessica felt the flicker of hope reignite in her chest. Maybe just maybe they were on the cusp of creating something truly special. Something that represented everyone, not just one voice. But just as she was about to leave, she received another text from Ben that made her stomach twist. I'm glad we're in this together. I have a big surprise to share when we meet. What could that surprise be? Jessica felt a mixture of excitement and dread tint her afternoon with uncertainty. Whatever it was, she knew it had the potential to change everything. Would it solidify their trust, or was there a risk that loomed just beyond the horizon? When Jessica arrived at the cafe for her meeting with Ben, the sun streamed through the large windows, illuminating the countless patrons lost in their conversations. She took a deep breath, hoping the light would wash away her uncertainty. After spotting Ben sitting at a corner table, his usual confident smile made her heart flutter and her stomach twist in equal measure. Hey there, he greeted, his voice brightening the air around him. He motioned for her to sit. As she settled down, she tried to calm the nerves zipping through her. I'm so glad we could meet. Thanks for inviting me, Ben. I'm really looking forward to hearing your surprise, she said, attempting to mask her anxiety. Ben leaned in, his eyes sparkling with excitement. So, imagine this, a local artist showcasing their work at the event. It'll give everyone a chance to express who they are: musicians, painters, poets. The theme will be voices of our community. Jessica's heart raced. This sounded fantastic, but it also felt heavy. That's a great idea, she said, but how do we make sure it doesn't just become about whoever is the loudest? I thought we could set up an open mic for people to share their stories or perform, he suggested. Encourage people to engage. It's our event, after all. There it was again, that mix of charm and charisma that drew people in. Underneath her excitement, fear still lurked like a shadow. What if we get overwhelmed? What if it spirals out of control? Ben looked genuinely apologetic. I get that. But I believe if we create a safe space, people will feel empowered to participate. Isn't that part of what makes the community strong? Jessica contemplated his words. There was truth in them, building connectivity was indeed their goal. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at stake. Okay, I like it, she said, but how do we ensure everyone feels represented? I've got it covered. He exclaimed. We'll set up a sign-up sheet, giving everyone a chance to claim their moment. There will be clear time slots for each performer or storyteller. His enthusiasm was infectious, and for a fleeting moment, Jessica let herself dream about how magical that night could be. But then, a simmering anxiety flooded back. And the surprise you texted me about? She pressed, her heart racing again. With a playful grin, he leaned even closer, the table almost too small for the energy pulsating between them. Think of it as a surprise for everyone. After the open mic, I want to invite a special guest, a well-known local figure who could inspire more participation. Jessica's brow furrowed. Do you think that'll add to the event? It might overshadow the locals, not if handled right. This isn't about them, Jessica. It's about us, about community. It's about giving everybody a platform and spark. His passion ignited her own, even as she felt the weight of the decision. Could Ben's vision truly form a bridge between hearts and minds? The caution whispers echoed in her mind, but the hope was beginning to rise. Just then, a burst of laughter broke through her thoughts, drawing her attention outside the window where a group of kids were playing in the park. They were carefree, their innocence a stark contrast to her swirling doubts. She wanted that feeling, the simplicity of just being present, not overthinking. "I want to believe in this," she finally said, locking eyes with Ben. "But I need to know you're all in for every single voice." His expression softened. "I promise you, Jessica. I'm in it with you, for all of us." As they shared ideas and began crafting the event together, a small flame of hope flickered brighter within Jessica. It felt like a chance to redefine not just the event, but also the direction of their community. Could this be the turning point? Would they truly capture everyone's voice, or had they opened a door to something unexpected that could change them all forever? One thing was clear: the Real journey was just beginning. The day of the event finally arrived, a crisp morning unfolding into a radiant afternoon. Excitement hung thick in the air as townspeople clustered outside the community center, their chatter a harmonic buzz, blending the past with the future. Jessica stood at the entrance, her heart pounding as she took it all in: banners reading, "Voices of our community," the laughter of children, the aroma of freshly baked goods wafting toward her. She felt a rush of emotion surging through her. This was real. This was happening. Beside her, Lucy adjusted her glasses, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "We did it, Jess. Look at everyone." Just then, Anna rushed over, her face flushed with enthusiasm. "I'm so ready. I can't wait to share my story." The nervousness in her voice was tinged with excitement, and it sent a wave of warmth through Jessica. This was what they had envisioned: a shared moment, a space for every voice. They stepped inside, and the scene was magical. Artwork hung on the walls, capturing everything from local landscapes to portraits of beloved community members. Tables overflowed with books, art supplies, and snacks, inviting people to explore. The buzz of conversation mixed with soft music, crafting an atmosphere that felt alive. As the crowd began to flow in, Jessica's eyes darted around for Ben. He eventually appeared, striding toward her with an air of confidence. "Ready to get this party started?" he asked with an infectious grin. "Absolutely," Jessica replied, although her stomach still twisted with nerves. After a few opening remarks, Jessica took a deep breath and stepped onto the small stage. The crowd quieted, attention focused on her. "Welcome, everyone. Today is not just about sharing stories, it's about celebrating each other, our experiences, and our dreams. We're all here because we matter." Cheers erupted, and Jessica couldn't help but smile. She looked at Lucy and Anna, their support grounding her in that moment. As the day progressed, stories flowed from every corner of the room: tales of laughter, heartbreak, joy, and resilience. Each voice painted a tapestry of connection, pulling everyone closer together. Ben was right, they had created a safe space, and people began to unearth their truths, their lives unfolding like pages from an open book. Then it was Anna's turn. She stood before the microphone, hands trembling. "I used to be too afraid to share. But after hearing all of you, I feel more brave. I want to talk about anxiety and how we can lift each other up." Her vulnerability left a hush in the room, and when she finished, tears glimmered in many eyes, Jessica's included. As the event continued, Jessica felt a bond growing between her and the audience, drawing in the quietest corners of Maplewood. They were truly becoming a community, unified by the stories shared under the warmth of the center's lights. Just then, Ben stepped forward. "I want to introduce our special guest, someone who embodies the spirit of community." He gestured, and the crowd turned. To Jessica's surprise, it was Mrs. Harrington who walked in, a hesitant smile on her face. The collective gasp was palpable. Jessica's heart raced. What is she doing here? Let us find out. Sophie whispered, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. Mrs. Harrington approached the mic. I didn't know what to expect today, she began, her voice steady but tentative. But witnessing this, it has stirred something in me. The stories I've heard today speak of courage, love, and community. And maybe I've been missing that connection. So, I want to support you all, and together we can bring more voices to light. Gasps filled the air again, and then applause erupted like a wave surging through the room. Jessica caught Lucy's eye, hope dancing between them. As the event continued, they felt the walls of judgment starting to dissolve, and laughter became a conduit of healing among old rivalries. By the end of the day, community members were mingling effortlessly, weaving together their shared experiences like the tapestry that had been so long imagined. Jessica stepped outside, the cool air brushing against her face, heart full. We did it, she whispered to Lucy, who clasped her hand tightly. Absolutely. This was just the beginning. As the sun set into a golden hue over Maplewood, something deep within Jessica shifted. She felt a profound sense of purpose, a realization that she was no longer just a shy librarian. She had become a beacon of connection, of storytelling, of hope. Together, they had created something extraordinary, a living narrative expanding beyond the pages, reaching the hearts of those asleep in silence. The flicker of bravery ignited within each person could create ripples that would last far into the future. With the laughter and bright smile surrounding her, Jessica turned to face the horizon, eyes sparkling with the possibilities ahead. She opened her heart to the truth. They had built bridges today, bridges to a community flourishing in authenticity, courage, and love. This was it. The heartbeat of Maplewood was alive, and in it, they had found their voice. Now's your moment. Don't hesitate. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these heartfelt tales alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let the world feel the warmth of togetherness. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how much your actions make a difference.